Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. We are here to analyze England versus Pakistan. I'm joined by Sandy Water, Jaren, and Ben, and myself, Ben Stokes, guys. So here we are to talk about it. And Jaren, I don't know. I think I should put a name for you as well, but I think we are here for a serious discussion. How do you guys feel? Is it time to live the game and love the game? Do you want to dance as well? Because some of the people have been dancing over the last few weeks, and I think it's only fitting if we also join the party, right? Your thoughts, Jiran, on that to start off the show?
Yeah, well, there's certainly a party that is happening right now. It's not Pakistanis. I think only two Pakistanis who probably enjoyed today is Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali. They played really well. Excellent cricket from them, and I think to be very honest, they did win the World Cup. So maybe some representation for Pakistan, even though it's not their team, it's not the team in green. There is some certainly two people who are enjoying today. I mean, as I say, Kudrat ka Nizam went their way. So probably you would still say that there was some sort of Kudrat ka Nizam because they lost against Ireland and they came back. And Adil Rashid has had a bad World Cup till the semi-final when he turned it around, and boy did he turn it around at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I mean, just looking at the names, it's really tough for me to really focus. But then I think I should be focusing. We are here for a serious discussion, guys. We are here to talk about the World Cup final. But Sandy Water, coming to you, Sandeepani, how do you feel? Because I know we did say this is one of the greatest World Cups in T20 World Cup history, at least in the recent past. But do you think it is fitting for England to win it ultimately? It's only the deserving one who has won it at the end of the day because they've been the most dominant team in this World Cup or throughout the course of the last 4 years. And finally, they've been able to do it in some fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely think so, and I think it's something that it's been one of the closest T20 World Cups that we have come across, starting since 2007. Sorry, I was also in a mood to party, so my voice
I think you
also.
should get some water, Sandy Water.
No, yeah, I'm fine right now. Yeah, so I think it's been one of the most closely fought competitions starting from 2007, and I think we have had the rightful winner, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to who can handle the pressure the most and who turns up in knockout games. Definitely, you can be the favorites on the paper, but as I said, it's one thing to be favorites on the paper, and it's another thing to sort of prove why they were the favorites and go on to win the cup. And we haven't seen that happen too often, because there's a lot of pressure that comes to that a team has to face with the burden of being the favorites heading into a tournament. And I think England did it fantastically. They had the players, they had the team, they knew how to handle the pressure, and come the big day, come the game against India, come the game against Pakistan today in finals, they turned up in a brilliant fashion. Tonight it was with the ball. In the game against India, the openers did the job for them, and I think tonight the middle order as well stepped up. So it's been a perfect all-round display from this England team. Be it with the ball or be it with the bat, they have been the most complete side. They were supposed to be the most complete side, and I think it's a rightful winner that was crowned at the ultimately at the end of the day. Talking about Pakistan, I think they came really close. I mean, and kudos and a lot of credit should go to their bowling department, especially the quartet of pacers that they had, along with Shadab Khan. Uh, they just performed. They bowled their hearts out in every game. They played. They gave it their everything. But tonight it just wasn't meant to be. The batters did not do anything tonight. 137 was not a total that you can defend. Yeah, we have seen the pressure of the final get to the opponent, but against a team like England, a team which boasts of a batting line of going up till 11, 137 was no score tonight. So I think deserved winners, England, and well fought, well played Pakistan to come back from that defeat against Zimbabwe. And I think it will silence a lot of critics who were out there even till yesterday night going on about Kudrat Kanizam and other stuff like that.
Hmm. Interesting you mentioned that, but ultimately I think we have to give credit to Pakistan as well. The fact of the matter is that they have come to the final. They've come to the final, and by really balling out teams, they've been the best bowling attack of the tournament, and there's no doubt about it. Even today, they could only do so much, and they were just they were just left behind. I mean, their batters let them down when it mattered the most. they ball their hearts out even today. 138 was there to defend for them, and they just ball their hearts out. They really came out pretty strong. They set up momentum by picking up 3 wickets in the power play. Naseem Shah was excellent. I think he's possibly one of the best 21-year-old fast bowlers in the world. Shaheen Afridi gave it all, and Shaheen Afridi was just top notch. And I also felt at some stage Pakistan could have maybe scored 10, 15 more runs and maybe taken it a little more different. But it
Yeah,
is
they
what it
had the
is. I mean,
platform. They had 6, 7 wickets in hand at the end of the 15th over. But once again, the quality of Sam Curran and Chris Jordan and them bowling to a plan. That is the most important aspect. You can be a brilliant bowler, but if you don't have the right field, if you don't have the right plan in mind, it can often backfire. But today in England's game, as I said in our evening session as well, uh, during our watch along, that it's the plans that actually worked for England. They knew that tonight the square boundaries were not as small as the one that they played in Adelaide, so they dropped their lengths back. They were not trying to bowl fuller deliveries. They tried to bowl it into the pitch in that 6 to 8 meter mark, and the change of pace, the variations really worked for them. And Pakistan were not actually clever in the last 5 overs. They had the platform to go up till 146, 150, at least 156 to 160. At the end of 11 overs, I think Pakistan were 84 for 2. And then Adil Rashid came in and bowled that wicket maiden, dismissing Babar Azam, and I think that just changed the course of the game. Pakistan were in the driver's seat till the 11th over with the bat. And also with the ball as well, I think they picked up 3 quick wickets, and but there was just no scoreboard pressure on the England team, so they could really play themselves in. Harry Brooks and Ben Stokes really played themselves in during the 10th to 15th over. They really laid a platform, and then 41 needed of 5 overs. It still could have gotten close. I mean, I was not really impressed by how Ben Stokes took the game deep, because I felt that with the batting caliber that they have Liam Livingston, Sam Curran, Chris Jordan, uh, Chris Wokes to follow. So they could have gone a bit hard at it, but they knew that whatever they needed, and they could have got it. 8.2 runs required of the last 5 overs wasn't that difficult, and I think it was a well-timed chase. And also Pakistan were unlucky. Shaheen Shah Afridi finally we were talking about this, right? We were talking about this since the Asia Cup, not to rush Shaheen Shah Afridi into the playing 11. And today we saw he was diving in. Not just today, throughout this tournament, he was diving. He was trying to look 100% fit. And I think at the end of the day, it just did not work for him. And I think he just
what's
succumbed to
with
the
that
pressure.
name, Jaren? Why do you have a bell? I mean, that's weird.
I think this is
Uh,
me trying to, tribute to Ian Bell. I know I am not Ian Bell, but I am a Bell. So I mean, that's just it. There's nothing more to it. It's not a pun.
Oh, it's not. It is not. It definitely is not. Tanya just saying that we are in that kind of mood. My name is Ben Stokes, and Sandipani is Sandy Water, and he is a bell. I mean, that is what he likes to be called, and that's our you official mimic names from now on. You can follow us at these names that we call stage names. That's our online names from now on. Ben Stokes and all of these. I absolutely love my name, Stokes. Because it's such a good name. Ben Chokes is a very nice
Yeah.
name. Ultimately, he's a world champion, two-time world champion. Is anybody there in the world right now who's got a T20 World Cup and a One-Day World Cup medal? Very few people. Maybe MS Dhoni had it right now in the current playing nation. I think nobody has got that. So that's the reason why I believe
Yeah, I think so.
he's,
Yeah.
I mean, Maxwell has it. Australian team have it. Most of them.
Yeah, I think
Most
all
of the
of the
Australian
Australian
team.
teams. Yeah.
Mitchell Stark and most of them have it. But then I think what King Sandipani. It's funny that he brought this name up, King Sandipani. I
I
think
mean,
you should.
everybody is a king, right? We see a lot of people trying to claim they are the king, so might as well. I might try my luck as well. Get some
uh,
runs on the board on first class league, and then probably be the king.
Yeah, I think you should score against Zimbabwe as well. And China Ka King. I think that's nice. China Ka King is a nice name. We all know who is the king of China and what is China controlling as well. So I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Not yet. But guys, at least took the match till 19th over, whereas India lost the game one side. I think that's a very fair point from Kapil Verma
Yeah.
because what India did was India had to reach Mumbai pretty quick. henceforth they had to catch a flight, they had to come back, and that kind of a mode, that's why India lost it single-handedly, and India gave the match away. I'm pretty happy about that. But jokes apart, we won't be talking about India much. I think we've had an entire episode on India, which you people
Yeah.
showed a lot of love. I absolutely love
Yeah.
that. uh,
And if anyone still hasn't checked it out, please go and check it out. It was not the post match live, but the one that we did a day after the India versus
Yeah.
England game.
Yeah, but let's talk about Pakistan, right? What is next for Pakistan from here on? Now, we guys have seen some of the best. Yeah, Mohammad Shami versus Shoaib Akhtar controversy is something very funny as well. But I think it is just very unfair from Shoaib Akhtar to sit there and comment on Indian team selections and to say Mohammad Shami was not the right man. I think he's been one of the pick of the ballers for us. Just one bad day and you go after Mohammad Shami. That's just unfair. I've always seen this from Shoaib Akhtar. He just goes out there to get the views on
Shoaib
YouTube
Akhtar
and post
does
it.
it to his own team. So I
I
think
mean, yeah,
Mohammad Shami
I mean,
can
I think his opinion is irrelevant. To be very fair,
yeah.
he's not
I
even
think I
relevant
think
in his
he's
own
very
country.
smart in terms that we are sitting over here talking about Shami versus Shoaib Akhtar. So that was his ultimate goal, right? More
Hmm.
people should talk about the controversy that he's
Yeah.
building up. So it's at the end of the day, it's all about views and clickbait titles for Shoaib Akhtar. So we might as well ignore it.
I mean, yeah, but what do you guys think about that, especially when it comes to, because I was talking about what is next for Pakistan team, right? And for Pakistan team, especially, you've got players who are very young, very raw, and they have 1 year to build for the 50 over World Cup. But T20 team is what I'm talking about here, because 50 over team, I still think there are a lot of players who will still fit into the lineup. Do you think, Jaren, from here on, maybe Babar Azam should maybe given a drop? I know they won't do it, but Babar Azam is such a misfit into the T20 lineup. Or Babar Azam is such a misfit in this generation of modern game, because we've
Yeah.
been very vocal about the Indian team. I think we can take the privilege to say that Babar Azam is also a misfit in this Pakistan team, because the modern day game demands doesn't really, he can't really meet the demands. And today also you saw he was batting a strike rate of close to 100, which really put the pressure on Shan Masood and others to come and get going. And if this could have easily been a 160, if not for Babar Azam's innings there, right?
Absolutely, and I think you're right. We spoke about Indian cricketers quite a bit. Some of whom we felt are not fitting into the philosophy of cricket. But this is no more a template. You would say in the way England is playing, and especially after this win, I think it's only gonna become a catalyst to the fact that this is not going to remain just a template. This is gonna become the norm that you have to play T20 cricket like this. And many we saw Australia trying their hand at it this time around, and you only know that Australia gonna get much better at playing like that. I think South Africa probably might start trying something like that. They might even look at Tempa Bavuma, who's not even selected for SA20, who's played a similar kind of an inning role that Babar played today, who's bogged them down. So you would see this becoming more and more increasingly the way people play T20, and also you might see we've seen this transition happen in one day cricket as well. Where now, before one day cricket was still somewhere, where players would look at to score 6.5 and hang their boots happy. But now, if you really look, one day cricket also is shifting to that 7.5 runs per over kind of an era. And maybe that's where I think Babar Azam, either it's one of those stages in his career where he has to, it's do or die for him, because if he doesn't do anything about it, he's going to become he's increasingly becoming closer and closer to has increasingly and increasingly become closer to the fact that Babar Azam is becoming irrelevant or obsolete. You saw that happen to Joe Root. You're seeing this happen to Steve Smith, and I think Babar Azam is going to get into that list. And so either he changes, overhauls his T20 game, or he is dropped, and that's the only way two way, because Pakistani public is not very forgiving, and they're not going to be happy about it. And he's done it already once. There was sort of a redemption where he did play that innings against New Zealand, but then if this keeps happening, we've seen what happened to Sarfaraz Ahmed. It can happen to Babar Azam as well.
But do you think they will go out there to say that Babar Azam was possibly the best batter of this generation for Pakistan to step down because he's got the power even in
They
Pakistan
do
cricket
move
board,
on
right?
very quickly, don't they? I mean, just look at a lot of these players I mean, I'm not saying anything against Pakistani fans when I say this, but they do move on pretty quickly. I mean, we've seen so many batsmen who have come up with exceptional talent, whom if they couldn't perform for the highest level for a long time, you would suddenly see them being dropped, and then they would be phased out. You know, if they were openers, they would become suddenly number four, and then it would just keep on going. Yeah, I think Saloni Abel is really sad. He has some friends there in UAE who are not happy with today's result,
No,
and
that's
even
not the reason, guys. I think last 24 hours has been really tough on a serious note. I've
yeah.
lost a friend of mine, so it's very tough to come out and pull this live off on a serious note. So I've been trying my best. I think I'll dedicate this live for him. To be very honest, that's what I could say. So it's not been easy to come out here and to do the live and to pretend. So it's shown my face. Yeah, so I think we'll move ahead from that. I want to talk about that topic. That's another reason why I want to watch cricket and be involved with you all, because talking about it off the screen is tough. Yeah, Saloni, you've spotted it there. So, Aisha, yeah, Ben Stokes or Virat Kohli, who's a bigger match winner? I think it's a fair question.
It's a
Sandeep, had
tough
asked you
question.
that it's one of the it's one of the biggest debate which is going to now spark up. Ben Stokes, two World Cup finals. Okay, one of them he really messed it up with the ball, but two World Cup finals, one Ashes. He's always been there. A player who's very similar like Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli also loves him, as we already keep saying that. But the fact is that this lad has gotten in him to really go out there in a big stage and deliver big. So, who do you consider is the biggest match winner? I know to win two World Cups single handedly is not an easy job. So, would you still say Ben Stokes is the bigger match winner?
No, I still feel Virat Kohli is the bigger match winner when it comes to white ball cricket, because he has done it for the country over the years. For the last 10 years, he has been consistently doing it for the country. Ben Stokes too has evolved as a player after the 2016 T20 World Cup loss. He came back. He won one game for England in the Ashes single handedly. That epic 134 135 odd not out runs, and then that partnership with Jack Leach. Was memorable, and then he came into the World Cup 2019 World Cup, had a brilliant World Cup, and even then in the finals was the player of the match. And then tonight as well, when things were needed of him, because England had lost Alex Hales and Josh Butler along with Phil Salt in the first 6 overs itself. One of the senior players needed to step up, either be it Moeen Ali or Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes came into bat at number 4, and he showed why he's one of the more experienced players, and he did the job for the country. But on a consistency basis, I think Virat Kohli is the biggest match winner there is, because his impact for this Indian team in white ball cricket has been tremendous over the last decade. And Ben Stokes has done his share for England as well in limited overs, as well as in the longest format in Test as well. But when you talk about impact, I think Ben Stokes is slowly starting to have a greater impact when it comes to Test matches compared to Kohli, because Kohli has not been in the best of forms in Test matches. Also, Ben Stokes has that ability to bowl in middle overs, and has that golden arm who can come in and break the partnership with the ball as well. But when you talk about short format of the game, white ball cricket, I think Virat Kohli is still unparalleled by anyone in this generation when it comes to having an impact on the game.
Maybe in terms of
And talk,
consistency, Virat Kohli is the most consistent batter.
I
But when
mean,
yeah,
it comes
definitely.
to
I
And when
think
you talk
Virat
about
Kohli is a
consistency, a lot
match
of
winner.
people. Yeah, a lot of people come up and say that Babar Azam has been really consistent throughout, even in T20 internationals. So has Mohammad Rizwan. But the only thing that we actually want to bring out is with Shan Masood also coming into the team. Shan Masood, Babar Azam, and Mohammad Rizwan are similar sort of a players. And Pakistan, in the long run, when they look to have a proper team for the T20 internationals, I think they cannot have three of similar type of players. Same like India. India cannot have KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, and Virat Kohli playing together. Similarly, Pakistan cannot have Mohammad Rizwan, Babar Azam, and Shan Masood playing in together for the team in T20 internationals. And I think
Yeah, that's a fair
it's
point.
time
I
that we
think
have to come in and admit it that it's a game. The demand for the game has
I
been
think they
changing
three should be
rapidly.
fighting for one spot or maybe
Yeah,
two spots. They three cannot be fit
one
into
to
one,
two max, two spot max,
two
because
maximum.
you,
Yeah,
you see Mohammad Rizwan and Shan Masood at least have the game to go from 100 to 150 in very quick time. We saw this in case of Shan Masood in the game against uh, England in the bilateral series as well. One of the games he came in, scored that 60 odd runs of 30 balls. Tonight as well, he was playing, he was striking it well. Same is the case with Mohammad Rizwan. If he gets going, he can he sort of anchors the when he anchors the innings, he can move from 100 to 150 in very quick time. And for the Indian team, I think all the three players, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, all of them have the capability to go from 100 to 150. But the consistency with which you go from 100 to 150 is very important. And the game demands it, that once you are playing in 20, 30 balls, you have to go in and score at a strike rate of 150 by the end of your innings. No matter when
I
you
think
get
we
out.
will pull out a graph right here. I think it's only right if we pull out a graph to understand how today's
Yeah.
innings went, which will actually speak a story as to what Pakistan did wrong today, right? And where could have Pakistan possibly done well, especially when it comes to the batting. See this graph. This graph in itself is a story. How Babar Azam faced 23% of the balls, he's only scored 23% of the runs. Um, it is
And
tough
when
to
we
break.
talk about 23% of the runs, we have to understand that we are talking at a
It's a
run
low
rate of
target.
less than 7.
Yeah.
Pakistan went on scored only 137. So that's 6.85 runs per over. So
Hmm.
23% of 23% is he has gone in and scored at a strike rate of close to 110.
Yeah, truly. And just look at Rizwan's innings also there. I know he got a six of Chris Wokes. Barring that six, he has possibly scored 9 runs of 13 balls, and which is not possibly good enough. He's not really gotten going. 12% balls. He's consumed 12% balls, really scored 11% runs. And he also was adding pressure on Babar Azam. And his weakness against balls which are going away from him has now become a thing. People have taken a note of it. Everybody knows he's just become a leg side bully, though he has scored close to 1,000 runs
Mhm.
in the last 2 seasons. But the fact is that he scored predominantly those runs in Asia against weaker bowlings and against quality bowlings where there's enough to offer for the bowling. He is being found out. And now, especially, everybody has come to notice that he's very weak to be playing on the covers. You can make him drag the ball in. You've seen that already. It happened a couple of times or 3 to 4 times in this World Cup. And you can target him with a good short ball as well. Rizwan is struggling. And Mohammad Aris, where you guys a little taken aback. Mohammad Aris was sent out to bat at number 3. I know they wanted to accelerate, but then he looked out of place as well. He was trying to go very hard at the ball, Jaren. Your thoughts on the approach which Pakistan took? I thought Pakistan lost the game with the bat more than anything else because the ballers can only do so much. Ballers can't do something which you are asking them. They should have put them possibly the best performance they've ever done T20 internationals, invite the ball to win the match today. And they almost did it. They almost did. If Shaheen would have been fit, you do not know how the game would have panned out as well. Your thoughts, Jaren?
I think for me, I think that's the only way he plays. We've seen that throughout in the South Africa. I mean, not South Africa. Imagine the new semi-finals against New Zealand. You saw him play in a different fashion. He did not play in that aggressive way, but I think that was also because he did seem a little edgy. I would say at the start when he had come on to bat, it was Rizwan who was taking much more of the strike. Today as well. I mean, that's one thing I really loved about the way Sam Curran bowled, especially to Rizwan and then to Harris. Because what Sam Curran did was, he did not get the ball into him, into the batter. I saw him trying the same. He did it against Babar Azam. It was not like the ball was swing. It wasn't swinging. He did it against Babar Azam. But against Rizwan, you saw him bowling away, out. I mean, away. He really never brought it back. And it felt like, Rizwan was waiting for that ball which came in, and it was just clear plans from them. And against Mohammad Harris, what we saw is they balled a lot shorter to him. There was a chance, where I think there was this ball where he tried to play a flick shot of some sort, and he stepped out to try and whack the baller over the top of the head. It was just England ballers seemed to be just ahead of him. Whatever Mohammad Harris tried, it just seemed like the English ballers were 2 steps ahead. They already saw it coming, and I think Sandipani is right. Pakistan has got a lot of clutter in the top order where all three are batting in the same fashion. And in fact, if Mohammad Harris had gotten going, I think this score would have been a little better. But because he didn't get going, then there was really no one to play that sort of an innings and help them out. And that's where I feel Babar and Rizwan together dug a hole in the power play rather than helping the team
But
get
they
that
did.
start.
They certainly did. It just
And
looked
when we
like they
talk
were.
about power play scores and India not India scoring at only 6.12, 6.15, I think Pakistan has also scored at 6.19, 6.2. They are pretty close towards the bottom of the list when it comes to the Super 12s in terms of
Yeah,
scoring at a run rate in the power plays. So I think
yeah.
a lot has to do with Babar Azam and Rizwan, first of all, not firing uh, at the top in the World Cup. And secondly, whenever they go on to get a big score, apart from the semifinals, I think they didn't have a very quick fire start or a decent start. Even in the game against New Zealand, when both of them actually clicked, Babar Azam really really got a lifeline early on in his innings. So one might say that he not just say he was very edgy. Babar Azam has been very sort of tentative early on in his innings, especially after 3 or 4 failures. We could see that he was dying to go out there and score some runs. He was trying to poke at deliveries, trying to play those uh, uh, slogs, which Babar Azam is not really good at. When you talk about Babar Azam is a very technical player, very good player. You talk about cover drives, you talk about straight drives, playing through, playing in the V, but he was trying to slog it over mid wicket and
Yeah.
early on in his innings, which is very uncharacteristic Babar Azam. And I think that knock against New Zealand should have actually helped their confidence. And I actually thought that if Pakistan could get somewhere in excess of 150, I think they were in it to win it. I mean, it was going to be very difficult to chase
Yeah.
150 in this pitch, especially given that it was the finals. So there was added pressure of that as well. So and we could see that even 138
I
they made
mean,
a chase out of
I
it.
also, where I felt Pakistan also kind of really lost the plot was when Adil Rashid came to ball. They did not know what to do with Adil Rashid. I know they led Adil Rashid just to ball out those 4 overs. And maybe I felt, they should have sent in someone like a Nawaz there to take the attack on. And Nawaz is a very good spin hitter. Let's all accept it, though he's not had the best of tournaments. He's gone after spinners, especially in New Zealand against India in Asia Cup. He's got the ability to take on leg spinner. And I thought Pakistan missed the trick. They shouldn't have maybe sent in someone like a Shan Masood or an Iftikhar there.
Yeah,
They should have sent
absolutely.
in someone like a Nawaz to take the spinners
Yeah.
and see. And they would have possibly hoped maybe those 20 runs there would have made a lot of difference. English bowlers
I
weren't
mean,
put
I
under
was really
pressure.
surprised with the way they use Babar Azam, or better to put, not Babar Azam, the way they use Mohammad Nawaz, or rather, the way they didn't use Mohammad Nawaz. I mean, when Shadab was bowling those overs where he was making the ball turn, I felt like Mohammad Nawaz could have been given those overs there.
I felt at least Nawaz should have been sent right after Babar because when
Yeah.
Iftikhar came, he played out a maiden over there. Let's remember, a maiden over. If that over, they would have got 10 runs or 15 runs. That would have
And
been
I
the
think
game for
Pakistan
Pakistan.
were on course to set a big total. 84 for 2 at the end of 11 overs is a very good start and a good platform to go from there. And that over from Adil Rashid, first of all, he took Babar Azam's wicket of the first delivery, and then Iftikhar Ahmed did not get going in
You
that
know
over
what
itself.
happened? The over prior to that, when Shan attacked Liam Livingston, that's where I
Yeah.
thought momentum is slightly shifting towards Pakistan. But
Definitely.
again,
They got
that
16 runs of
momentum
that
just
over from
dipped.
Liam Livingston, which did not
Yeah.
allow him to settle down. This was my point when we were talking about that India game. Liam Livingston went on to
Mhm.
give out only 21 runs in 3 overs, and we might argue many things, but Liam Livingston was bowling the same sort of length. He was trying to dart the ball in, trying to bowl outside off stump. He had no other plans. You have to target the six bowling option. Pakistan did that. That put a lot of pressure in Butler's mind. He immediately brought back Adil Rashid to complete his quota of overs, and from there on, there was no more experimentation, no more sixth or seventh bowling option. He just went in with Ben Stokes and
I
the
mean,
rest
I
of the bowlers.
personally feel as well how it panned out for Pakistan. They should have maybe tried to attack. They should have just put the pedal on the accelerator. I know Iftikhar is a good player, but he's a very good player of pace bowling than spin bowling. And that moment they demanded, someone like Nawaz to go out there and change the momentum on. I know they would have not lost anything because ultimately Nawaz scored what, 2 runs. It could have possibly been utilized better. So utilization of resources is where Pakistan really fell behind today, and also batting approach. Batting approach needs to be changed. I mean, now for Pakistan, they've now got a base to World Cup, promising World Cup finishes. One of the World Cup they finished, in the semi-final. Another World Cup being the number 2 team. I think they've got a good platform. They've got the bowling lineup to win any World Cup for them. It's about adding the batting resources, which I think they should identify. And I think that's why we have to talk about something very important over here. Maybe keeping someone like a Matthew Aiden in a long term planning.
Yeah.
Maybe Matthew Aiden can be used as a coach for the long term for Pakistan cricket, because I thought he really brought in a change. He brought in a change in a very positive manner. His aura in the dressing room has really helped this team to fight out of that Zimbabwe loss, to make them believe that they could go out there and play the World Cup final. They could take down some of the biggest teams like South Africa, New Zealand, and even to give a fight to England ultimately. Because these are the characters you need in a dressing room, which Pakistan were lacking over the last maybe 3 decades. They've been not able to dominate world cricket because of this very reason. Because with Imran Khan or with Wasim and Waqar, what you got was that they had the fire in their belly, which Pakistani team always carried it. If you talk about Pakistani team in the 90s, they always used to go out there to perform, to win. They'll be at your face. They're going to show you their aggression. That was missing in the Pakistani team for the longest period of time. And ultimately, it needed a character in a dressing room to really lift this team forward. I thought Matthew Hayden was that character for this team, and it really occurred well for them, isn't it, Jaren?
I mean, I think what Matthew Aaron really brought into this team was, that attitude, really, that fact that, they can come back from any stage. They really believed in themselves. And I think Matthew Aaron has a lot to do with it. And I feel he deserves that longer run of play. We need to
Yeah.
see if he really accepts that position, whether Pakistan Cricket Board really, really is interested in that proposition as well. Because here's the thing, right? I feel, that he is someone who can bring in that outside perspective, a fresh perspective that is not within the Pakistani playing. I mean, in the Pakistani setup, and we saw what he was able to do. Right, he not only was a leader within the was not only an influence within the camp, but also outside. Right, he was there for press conferences. What things he said in press conferences made you feel like the overall atmosphere of the setup of the Pakistani setup was good, was positive. And I think Pakistan has lacked that for quite some time. I know under Babar, it seemed to come up a lot better. It's become a lot better, but it's always been this issue, right? Whenever a big tournament, they don't do well, then suddenly that negativity comes in. It starts clouding about all the decisions that Pakistan makes. We saw that in the Asia Cup, for instance, when suddenly the team was changed around. I mean, in hindsight, you can argue it was for the better, but then you never know. I mean, but it's not always that it comes good. Sometimes, when you do such changes, when you make such shifting, it really affects a player. And I hope they don't do it now going forward as well, because I mean, as far as I know, Matthew Hayden's job was only to this tournament, and I hope they push it a little further, and they actually make him a permanent player, a member of this group, because I think he can be instrumental in
At
making them
least
a
if
world
he is not
champion.
being a permanent member of this group, I'm pretty sure a lot of teams would have taken a leave for
Yeah.
Pakistan, and they'll be really scouting on Matthew Hayden, the coach, especially some of those IPL teams. Maybe that's where he'll be looking to set up a platform and see where it goes from there. Or maybe even PSL. He can get a call up to be a coach of one of
Hmm.
those teams and see where things go. Because whatever I've seen of Matthew Hayden, it's all been good, and he's a very positive character, right? Even Australian team, you knew that he was like this gigantic character, just not by the figure of his. He was a character who could be at your face. He could take the bowling attack on. And now, as a coach, he's trying to bring in the same influence, a positive influence where he's trying to make his teammates or his team believe that they can go out there and win games from any position, which is so important. I thought even before, maybe one of the reasons why Pakistan really fought deep could have been Matthew Hayden's influence in that bowling group as well. And this ballers also started believing that we can actually take the game deep to any team. Uh, it's a sad thing that they couldn't win the World Cup, but the fact is that there are already positives. Last World Cup semi-final with Matthew Hayden in the team, this World Cup final with Matthew Hayden in the team. I think there is definitely something about this lad, and of course there is talent, but I think he's helping those talent to go out there and perform a little more better. But I think meanwhile we will bring up English bowlers, how they went about in this game, because then that's one of the reasons. That's pretty much how we can understand how they perform today. Uh, कुछ तो हिंदी में बोलो यार। हम हिंदी में बात करेंगे इसके बारे में। क्या बोलते हैं जरन? क्या लगता है? जैसे कि आज
हाँ, डेफिनेटली,
पहले पहले ओवर से
डेफिनेटली,
लगा कि
डेफिनेटली.
अच्छा, हाँ, स्पेशली हमको बात करना चाहिए सैम करन के बारे में, क्योंकि सैम करन का फिगर्स देख के मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है कि फुटबॉल का स्कोर कार्ड है, क्योंकि 3 ओवर 4 ओवर डाला है, 3 विकेट चटकाया और 3 के इकोनॉमी में गए, और आदिल रशीद भी उधर। आदिल रशीद भी काफ़ी अच्छा गेंदबाजी की, क्योंकि आदिल रशीद का जो स्पेल रहा है बीच में, आगे पहले पहले तो उसने बाबर आज़म का विकेट ले लिया, मोहम्मद हारिस का विकेट ले लिया, भी काफ़ी अच्छे गेंद पे ले लिया, क्योंकि फ्लाइट करके डाला था, और डिसीव मतलब एकदम से डिसीव कर लिया मोहम्मद हारिस को, और उसके बाद बाबर आजम को
Hmm.
बहुत ही बढ़िया गूगली डाल दिया। और क्या बोलते हैं जरन, मतलब आदिल रशीद के बारे में क्या बोलना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि वही गेम को सेटअप किया इंग्लैंड की तरफ से।
हाँ, आई मीन, देखिए, आई मीन, हुआ ये है कि एक तरीके से ना कभी पाकिस्तान ने अटैक ही नहीं किया, देखा जाए तो आदिल रशीद ने एकदम बहुत बेहतरीन गेंदबाजी की। उनको पता था प्लान क्या है, उनको पता था कहाँ गेंदबाजी करनी है। आपने देखा कि इंडिया के खिलाफ बहुत ज्यादा फुल फुल गेंदबाजी की। वो कहीं ना कहीं वो बैट के अंडरनीथ जाना चाहते थे, बॉल ऐसा चाहते थे कि वो बैट्समैन कभी बल्ला कभी ना बॉल के नीचे ना आए, क्योंकि अगर बल्ला अगर बॉल के नीचे आता है ना, कोचेस ऐसे ही बताते हैं कि जब आप डिफेंड करना चाहते हो तो हमेशा बल्ला बॉल के ऊपर रखते हो एक स्लैंटेड मोशन में, ताकि बॉल ग्राउंडेड रहे। और जब अटैक करना चाहते हो तो बल्ला हमेशा बॉल के नीचे से आता है, ताकि ना बॉल को एल्टीट्यूड मिले, बॉल को हवा में आप मार सको। और और इस सिनारियो में आपने देखा कि इंडिया के खिलाफ उन्होंने फुल गेंदबाजी की ताकि इंडिया को सीधे खेलना पड़े, जहां पे 88 मीटर का बाउंड्री थी। आज आई मीन स्क्वायर लेग और ऑफ साइड में भी आप देखो स्क्वायर द बाउंड्री 81 और 75 मीटर्स का डिस्टेंस था, डिपेंडिंग ऑन आप कौन से जगह जगह पे खेल रहे हो, कौन से एंड से आप गेंदबाजी कर रहे हो। तो इसलिए आज ज्यादा मैंने बोला था ना, आदिल रशीद ज्यादा ये होंगे, इफेक्टिव होंगे, क्योंकि अब उनके पास वो ये भी है कि वो स्वीप शॉट भी नहीं मार सकता बल्लेबाज। अब बल्लेबाज को सीधा ही खेलना पड़ेगा, और जहां पे आज जितनी टर्न मिली, अगर आप सीधा खेलने की कोशिश करोगे तो आप कहीं ना कहीं अगेंस्ट टर्न खेल रहे हो, स्पेशली अगर आप लेफ्ट हैंडेड बैटर ना हो। और पाकिस्तान के पास बहुत ही कम लेफ्ट हैंडेड बैट्समैन थे, उनमें से एक मोहम्मद नवाज था जिनको उन्होंने यूटिलाइज नहीं किया। एंड अब आप देखोगे तो इसलिए आदिल रशीद इतना सक्सेसफुल हुआ। बट एट द सेम टाइम भी पाकिस्तान ने अटैक करने की भी कोशिश नहीं की, वो बहुत ज्यादा डिफेंसिव हो गए और बहुत डीप लेके गए वो गेम। ऐसा लग रहा था कि वो 50 ओवर्स का गेम खेल रहे हो, ना कि वो 20 ओवर्स का गेम खेल रहे हो। एक टाइम पे तो आई थिंक पाकिस्तान 6 रन पर ओवर पे जब खेली 10th ओवर तक, तब तक आई थिंक मैच बहुत दूर चला गया था। आप इस इंग्लैंड टीम के खिलाफ जो पावर स्कोर है उसके उसके इवन 20 रन और ज्यादा मारना पड़ेगा आपको, अगर आप चाहते हो कि डिफेंड करें, क्योंकि इंग्लैंड टीम की बैटिंग बहुत स्ट्रांग है और बहुत लंबी जाती है ये बैटिंग लाइन।
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल। और आयशा कह रहे हैं कि इंग्लिश में ही बात करो। हाँ, इंग्लिश में ही बात करेंगे हम, वही बेहतर है हम लोगों के लिए भी और आप जो सुन रहे हैं उन लोगों के लिए भी, क्योंकि
हम
हमारा हिंदी
एकदम ऐसा पाकिस्तानी बैटर जैसे आदिल रशीद के खिलाफ स्ट्रगल कर रहे थे, वैसे हम भी
हाँ,
हिंदी में
जैसे
बोलने में
जैसे
पसंद
हम
कर रहे
हमारा हिंदी उतना फ्लो में नहीं आता, क्योंकि हिंदी बोल रहे थे, मेरा इंग्लिश में खराब हो गया यार ये क्या ही
नहीं, बात है
आई
कि
थिंक दिस प्रूव्स
इंग्लिश
द
में
फैक्ट
बात
दैट
करते
हिंदी इज
करते
नॉट
फिर
गुड
वो
इनफ।
रिदम नहीं आता है हिंदी में।
हाँ, रिदम नहीं
बट
आता है ना,
जैसे
और
अभी मेरा
हाथ
हिंदी का
बॉलर के
रिदम है,
लिए
तो
रिदम
अभी
चाहिए
मैं
होता
हिंदी
है।
में ही बात
ऐसा लग रहा है
करूंगा।
मैं शाहीन अफरीदी बॉलिंग करने आ रहा हूँ इंजरी के साथ, और नहीं डाल पा रहा हूँ, डिलीवरी नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि हमारा जब ज़्यादा कि दोस्त के साथ हिंदी में बात करें ना, वो तो उसमें हो जाता है। अभी जो शो कर रहे हैं हिंदी में बात करें, काफ़ी मेरे लिए काफ़ी मुश्किल बात होता है कि हिंदी में आके क्रिकेट के शब्दों को प्रयास करना, उपयोग करना, और उसके बाद क्या ही बोलूँ, गेंदबाज़ी, बल्लेबाज़ी, शतक और क्या बोलते हैं और
बल्लेबाजी
क्या,
को हम लोग बैट बोलेंगे, गेंदबाजी को हम लोग बॉल बोलेंगे, वो तो अंडरस्टूड है। उसके बाद हम
हाँ,
लोग बाकी
गति, बहुत कुछ बोलना पड़ता है। इसी वजह से हमारा इंग्लिश भी खराब होता है और हमारा
एंड एक
हिंदी
तरीके से
सुन
ना
के
हम
आप वापस भी नहीं
लोग,
आना।
me and Abel at least, I mean I don't know about Abel, but I always there's always this one language that you think in, and then the rest of the languages that you speak you always translate it in your head. And I think for me that language is English, because I predominantly my thoughts are in English. So when I speak Hindi, especially when I speak Hindi on shows, I have to start, I have to think that sentence in English and then translate it into Hindi. And by the time I say that process, I think I sound very disconnected.
मेरी अपनी इंग्लिश अरबिक अच्छी है। अच्छा ठीक है, अरबिक में बात कर लो, मैं ट्रांसलेट करने की कोशिश करूँगा। जो भी है, आई थिंक खैर we'll come back to our main discussion, which is about Pakistan team and also about English bowling, because when we look into the stats, Sandeep, because I personally felt that over in the middle, especially where Adil Rashid bowled and also alongside with Chris Wokes, I thought was a susceptible bowler who could have been attacked. And let's not forget, right? Here, there's a player like Chris Jordan who has gone under the radar, which we are not giving him enough credit for that. He's bowled beautifully. He's balled through the middle and he's also balled in the depth when it was really needed. He's coming off as a replacement for Mark Wood. He did not play cricket since August. For him to come into two big games and to deliver in such a way, it speaks volumes about the cricketer he is, isn't it, Sandeepani?
Yeah, definitely. I think when Ben Stokes came in to bowl the 16th over, he considered 12 or 13 runs. And then Pakistan just scored 18 or 19 of the last four. Two of them were bowled by Sam Curran, the other two were bowled by Chris Jordan. And Chris Jordan started his spell not in the most convincing manner. He went for 17 runs in his first 2 overs, but ended up with 27 in his quota of 4 overs. So basically gave just 10 runs in the last 2 overs. And Sam Curran just gave away 7 runs in the last 2 overs. Probably there was one leg by as well. So 18 runs were scored of the last 4 overs by Pakistan, which is just not good enough. And they lost 4 wickets, 4 wickets in that phase. From 16 to 20, they lost 4 wickets trying to accelerate. They did not have the acceleration. They were not being able to understand the variation, the changes in pace of the bowlers. And I think, yeah, Chris Jordan deserves a lot of credit, especially because he bowled that 18th and 20th over. He bowled the 15th, 18th, and 20th over. Three of those 4 overs were 15th, 18th, and 20th. And that is why he did not have the best of figures in the game against India, because even though he bowled some great Yorkers, he was more or less very much accurate with his Yorkers. Some of the balls were just Hardik Pandya really played him well. So did Virat Kohli towards the end of India's innings, and hence he went for over 40 runs in his quota of 4 overs in the last game. But when a bowler is bowling just in the death overs, 3 of his 4 overs are in the death overs. You expect him to go for a lot of runs. And Chris Jordan coming in 27 for 2 at the end of 4 overs, not having a brilliant IPL, coming in as a replacement for probably the best England T20I bowler right now, pace bowler, that is Mark Wood, coming in as his replacement in the semi-final of the T20 World Cup. It was a huge thing to ask of him because he was not in the best of forms, and I think he delivered to the best of his abilities. And I think his spell along with Sam Curran won them the game. And I think Pakistan actually faltered with the bat. If you think about Chris Wokes is a susceptible bowler, and I think he was taken to the cleaners. He went for 26 runs off his 3 overs, and the other over was bowled by Liam Livingston. So that fifth bowling option went for 42 of the 4 overs. So I think all in all, that was well utilized by Pakistan. Probably they would have wanted to take take a Ben Stokes to the cleaners when he came into bowl. Ben Stokes bowled 2 overs in the last 10. So, I mean, they scored only 18 or 19 of the last two. I think they could have targeted Ben Stokes over there. And definitely Sam Curran and Chris Jordan were just so good that they couldn't get under the bowling of uh, Curran and Jordan. So I think a lot of credit should go to them. Having said that, the Pakistan batters were not up to the mark. Clearly not up to the mark.
Aisha asked, "Hey, Falak, Alhamdulillah, Aisha, I'm doing very good. I'm doing fine, and we all are doing fine." I should ask you that, Aisha. Hey, Falak, I hope you are doing fine after what had happened earlier today. So that's what I would say. Priyanka says, talk about Manchester United. Manchester United and Alejandro Garnacho. Yeah, he's just got a winner against Fulham. Oh, what a player. I mean, just to go off the topic, I think he's a player who's destined for success. He's a player who I think will achieve great things. I'm very disappointed that he's not made to the Argentina squad for the World Cup, but then this lad is special, man. I think this the new era for Manchester United is going to be surrounding Alejandro Garnacho, and he pulled out the Ronaldo celebration today, which is quite interesting. I know iShow Speed was there to watch the game; he'll be pretty pleased with that. But iShow Speed was never pleased because Ronaldo was not even in the squad. So Alejandro Garnacho is a player to watch out for the future. I'm very excited about him. Though he's part of my rival club. There are rumors that he's coming to Barcelona, so I'm pretty pumped about that as well. Let's hope this lad has got a big future. He's special talent, special
I mean,
talent.
and a player who's so young, who's gotten two great mentors, one in Cristiano Ronaldo in Manchester United and Messi in Argentina. Whenever he goes for international duty, I mean, he would have really loved to be part of that Argentinian team because this Argentinian team seems destined for great things this year's World Cup. But overall, I think really skillful, and he's shown, he's become one of the star players for Manchester United, even though it's a star-studded lineup.
Yeah, I think that's the football talk. Meanwhile, I think we'll be doing a live later tonight on French national football team, something which we are planning at, or on Spanish national football team, a surprise live. If you're football fans, please do join us there. We will be talking about it. We will be talking in depth about what possibly can happen. But yeah, Jen, coming back to what we were talking about, right? Especially when
Yeah.
it comes to, we were talking about how Chris Jordan's impact. You are a Chennai fan. You've seen the worst of Chris Jordan as well, especially as a Chennai fan. But this
Yeah.
lad has got something about him. He's such an impactful cricketer. One of the reasons why teams across the world looks to have him is he's one of the safest fielders in hotspots. And as we talk about hotspots, one other topic I'll talk after this is about that as well. But Chris Jordan is a safe fielder. He can give you maybe 10, 15 runs towards the back end with the bat. And on a good day, Chris Jordan is a very smart player. He can give the off pace balls. And I think in Chennai, in Chepauk Stadium especially, it's going to come in handy in dry wicket with slower balls. His Yorkers are going to come in even more handy. Your thoughts on Chris Jordan, the player? Since August, he hadn't played any cricket, and for him to come and he bowled very well against India as well, and especially in a final to deliver like that. Your thoughts?
I think Chris Jordan is a player made of some very what do you say tough stuff, as you would say. He's a champion of a player because I think he's had some of the worst nights for a T20 bowler, and he's also had some of the best nights for T20 bowler. You don't know which Chris Jordan really steps onto the pitch that particular day, but it's his ability to keep coming back. He's got the skills, I would say. Sometimes I do feel he's a bit erratic when it comes to his lengths. We have been at the wrong side of it. And some, and you would also know, I think he's played for RCB as well and contributed just as much in the wrong way. But what is really about Chris Jordan, the fact that he steps up, and you might not know, you might not see him step up every match, but I think probably one in every three matches you will see Chris Jordan come in good, and he can ball at any stage any stage in a T20 match. He can ball with a new ball, he can ball in the middle overs, and he can come back in the death and ball. I think predominantly he's been used in the death by England, and that's also because he replaced Mark Wood, who was their death bowler, so as to speak, along with along with Sam Curran. But what we saw of him today and yesterday is that he executed the plans really well. And I think that's something you have to give credit to England management. It just seemed like, they not only created plans, but they also made sure that these players practice them day in and day out. Because the way Sam Curran ball, the way Adil Rashid ball, the way Chris Jordan ball, I don't think you get that suddenly on the pitch. You need to put efforts into it. You need to work hard. And Sam Curran has been given that opportunity to be prepared for come to the time that you get this role, for the time that this role will come into picture, because I've been bowling for them throughout this year as a death bowler. He's been given a long rope, and he's really utilizing that rope as well, and that's something you have to give credit to, because England is a team I've noticed, whenever they associate whenever they give a particular role to a player, they then make sure that that player gives enough opportunity to see whether the player is able to hang on to that role, is able to execute that role well or not. And we're seeing that Sam Curran is able to do it. Something similar with Chris Jordan as well. Although, you would have to wait and see if Chris Jordan, how long can Chris Jordan continue this? More specifically speaking, can Chris Jordan continue this in the IPL? Because, well and good, he's won the World Cup, but I support him when he plays for CSK. And also remains to be seen if CSK actually goes on to retain him, because there are a lot of trades that are happening in IPL as well. Maybe probably before the auctions, come the auction December 23rd, we'll be speaking about that as well on this live. But yeah, overall, Chris Jordan is a player, who can produce magic. With the on the field, with the bat, with the ball. He's someone who's an X factor player who could, you don't know where and what kind of performance, how he can change a match, but he's a match winner definitely in his own right. Maybe not as consistent or as much a big a match winner as maybe Ben Stokes or Virat Kohli, but in his own right, he is a match winner. Abel, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Aisha asks, yeah, she says she English enough.
Abel, six standard.
She says she understands English perfectly. So that is what she tries to convey. If I'm not wrong,
I think your
my Arabic
Arabic
is
teacher
not.
will be very proud, Abel.
I think I need to really polish my Arabic. I think that's what she's just trying to say. I think maybe someone can confirm that. But nonetheless, okay,
Not
let's
us.
go. We'll go
Not
forward.
names for the money.
Yeah, leave that. Maybe, as we were talking about Pakistan team as well, I think we have to now at least focus a little bit more on English team. How English team now for the next two World Cups are also they're going to be starting as the favorites, isn't it, Jaren? And I want to know from both of you, because now they won a T20 World Cup, they won a One Day World Cup. Now going into 2023, 2024, I don't see anybody stopping this team unless they really give it out. Because this team on any day in 50 overs or in 2020, now they're going to be even reinforced. Now Jofra Archer is yet to come into the squad. Bairstow is going to be coming back into the squad. And Joe Root in one day, who's been
I mean,
exemplary form in.
where do you fit all these players that have missed out now? Where do you fit a Johnny Bairstow? Do you drop Alex Hales, who's had one of the best World Cups and probably won you the World Cup as well in difficult stages? Do you drop him? Do you drop probably, I think, the player who might now face the axe is Harry Brooks? Because I think Bairstow can still play in
I
that
think
middle order.
I think
But
Bairstow
then,
will come instead of Harry Brooks for sure. That's a straight
yeah.
swap. And I don't see Ben Stokes really continuing in T20 eyes. He's going to be only focusing
Mm.
on
Yeah,
test.
also I
Also because,
think Phil Salt's
he has,
position
while
is
he
up
won
for
the
grabs. I
match,
don't see Phil Salt coming in at number 3 for England. He will be a opening replacement for the team.
I mean, one day format as well. It'll be interesting to see how they go about in one day format. But this English team, I think, can dominate over the next 3 to 4 years, because now they've reached the peak. In the next 2 to 3 years, next one day World Cup is in just 10 months' time from now. T20 World Cup is in 20 months' time from now. Next 20 months, if they keep playing like this, I don't think anybody can stop them from winning it. And you know how good they can be when they reach there. And you already have seen this in the World Cup, and it's only fitting for them to win it, as I keep saying. It was only fitting for them to win this World Cup to really show it to the world. They've been the most dominant team of this era, and credits to whoever have worked behind the scenes. Owen Morgan, I think he deserves a statue outside Lord's Cricket Ground because of whatever he's done. He's done so much for English team. He's brought in a revolution. I think it goes back to 2015 when Owen Morgan really set up a, I felt now it's a general thing, right? We're talking about India as well. I think he set up a philosophy first and chose players according to philosophy.
Yeah.
That's so important. What
Yeah.
we're doing in India is we're trying to choose players, then tell them to play in a certain philosophy. It doesn't work. First, set a philosophy and choose players who can fit into that philosophy. That's a very
Mm.
football-like thing to do, and I think that's something which Owen Morgan had done very brilliantly, isn't it, Jaren?
I mean, but the best part about it is it's easier to do it in football, right? Because you can buy the players who are already ready-made in the market. But in international cricket, because you have to choose players from your own country, you really have to scout. You really have to look at players. Some players might not be polished enough to play that role. Some players might be very skilled, but might not have played that role before. So you have to look into all these things, and that's where I think England management selection has been just spot on in many places. They've chosen players to play those kind of roles. I mean, let's look at someone like a Johnny Bairstow. Johnny Bairstow is not your most aggressive player once upon a time. He was someone who was a lot more like what Babar Azam is today. But the way I think England cricket team molded him into a player who's much more aggressive. Now he plays in the same way in Test cricket as well. You don't see a Johnny Bairstow defend for long in Test cricket. He will come after you in Test cricket. And I mean, in some ways, there's a lot of debate on Bass ball happening. We're not getting into that right now. But you're seeing that England is now transitioning this white ball success in the same manner into the test matches as well. And it has worked for them in the series, in some of the series. Obviously, I think in the series that they played against India and New Zealand, the Duke ball they were playing with was not reinforced like the Duke balls right now. So it's not going to be as easy. The ball's going to do a lot more in England. But that's a separate debate altogether. It's something that we'll see in the next few months to come. But overall, if you look right, it's also the fact that they were able to pick players and mold them. It's not as easy in international cricket as it is easy probably in an IPL or in any franchise cricket for that matter.
People are saying that we are facing some sound issue. So is that true? Are we facing some sound issue?
Yeah, I think I just
Am I
heard
correct?
myself back.
Yeah, no, I'm getting a couple of messages on WhatsApp saying that our audio is not clear. So can you just confirm it, chat? Is our audio clear or not? Because I don't have it. And I've just opened YouTube to check it. And it seems fine. Just confirm it once again. Okay, nonetheless, if it is okay, then we'll continue. But we can just keep going. Now we did speak about the revolution and how important it is for England to make the revolution. Can that happen in Pakistan cricket, Sandimani? Because it's one of the toughest cricketing system to create a revolution. It's one of the toughest cricketing system, especially when it comes to praising superstars to remove players as well. They can remove the maybe smaller names, and they've been very good in doing that. So when it comes to big names, right? Maybe telling a Babar Azam, maybe you're not the right man for the job, or telling a Mohammad Rizwan or Babar Azam, okay, you only two of you can, only one from two can play, and maybe telling a Babar Azam you should be batting at number 3, and that's what's better suited for this team. Can that really happen in this Pakistani setup?
In the long run, probably yes,
The sound
but
is clear.
right
Yeah,
now,
thanks for that.
yeah, in the long run, probably I can see that happening. But right now, I don't see that happening because both Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, whatever it may be, they have been the two match winners with the bat for Pakistan for the longest period of time, even in T20 Is. Because either of them goes on to play a big innings when they're playing in subcontinent conditions or when they're playing at home against some of the weaker opponents. So right now, I don't see that happening, especially because Pakistan were not one of the favorites heading into this World Cup. Yeah, they were in contention for it, but the whatever way may it be, but they eventually ended up being the runners up, which will be a great achievement for Pakistan playing a World Cup in Australia to come in and be the runners up. So I think right now the media will be focused on that, and then they'll just focus on Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan being the hero that they are. The 11 players are heroes for them right now. And probably in the long run, after 2 or 3 years, they'll realize this, that both Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan cannot be in the team if they continue to perform this sort of a job. When they if continue to perform the same anchors role for Pakistan, that is essentially giving you the effect of one player and two players are giving you the effect of one players. So eventually at the in the long run, I think it's easier. It's great if Pakistan understand that they don't fit in the team together. But yeah, it's been the case with Pakistan. We know that they are quick enough to sort of get these small changes, getting in those small changes. But I think right now, Mohammad Rizwan, Babar Azam, Shadab Khan, and Shaheen Shah Afridi, these four are biggest names in Pakistan cricket right now. Probably with Haris Rauf as well
Yeah,
somewhere in it.
Yeah, Aris Roth deserves to be there, is what I
Yeah,
believe.
so these five players right now, their position in the team will not be questioned. There are some potential players who can come in as a replacement for these players in the upcoming T20I series, because probably they'll take rest as well. But in the long run, I see these five players to represent Pakistan in the next T20I World Cup as well, because until and unless they have a very poor performance or a very bad run in an ICC event or a multi-nation tournament, I don't see them making those drastic changes, because they have had decent enough success. They are the runners up in World Cup. Before that, they played that tie series against New Zealand and Bangladesh. In New Zealand, they were winners in that, and then
Mm.
in Asia Cup as well, they went on to be runners up. They were placed ahead of India in Asia Cup as well. So
Mhm.
come the multi-nation tournaments, I think this team has pulled up together. The bowling department has done the majority of the work, but the batsman has chipped in. And Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan are some of the biggest names in Pakistan cricket right now. So I don't see them right now going for a decision to whether go for Babar Azam or Mohammad Rizwan. But somewhere 3-4 years down the line, they'll have to take this decision, and
They
because
should.
the game is changing so quickly.
They should ideally take that decision, and maybe if they are going towards a particular philosophy, uh if they have someone like a Matthew Hayden in the team, maybe it can really work. If he is part of the coaching
Mhm.
staff, maybe then he can send out a message to the team management, or maybe to the selector, saying that, see, this is what we are looking at. We want to play a certain brand of cricket, and henceforth we are looking at particular type of players. And SAQ, ghazal version in Western UK. Yeah, I've heard that song. It's a very beautiful song, really well sung. I like this version from that series as well. I watched the game with my Pak mates. I hope it was good watching with them. Why can't should Pakistan try Azam Khan and
Yeah, we
Sharjeel
spoke
Khan?
about it, didn't
I
we?
think these two. I think I've been a huge fan of Azam Khan and Sharjeel Khan. See, both of these players are ignored because of fitness issues. They are
Also, I think Sarjil Khan has not been very consistent when it comes to the opportunities that he got in PSL as well. I think, if I'm not wrong, he plays for the same team that Babar Azam plays, Karachi Kings, I guess. He opens with Babar Azam
Mhm.
on occasions, and I think his run for Karachi Kings hasn't been that great. He
very
hasn't.
interesting that Babar Azam has now left the team. He's gone to Peshawar Zalmis, and Karachi has got Shoaib Malik and Haider Ali.
Yeah,
Very interesting trade off there. And also talking about IPL, very interesting trade off as the champions Titans have traded their players to your team, Sandeep Mani. How excited are you? Loki back in Kolkata, and also you have Lahmullah Gurbaz, one of your favorites,
yeah,
is
I
there
think
in your
I
team.
think these are some great trades, and I think Lockie Ferguson. We'll discuss it when we talk about IPL. But
I
in
think we
short, I
will
think now
talk.
they can
We'll
just
bring
go
a
in
list
and
right after
dispatch
the.
Pat Cummins and Aaron
Yeah, I think
Finch.
let's just wait for it. Once the retention list is released, I think we can
Yeah.
talk about the players, and we
Yeah.
can talk about the possible trade-offs as well. I think we'll do a complete episode on that, because Indian domestic season is really hyping up pretty well. We will do a we'll do an extensive review on that. Just remember, there's a World Cup, football World Cup, which is going to start in 8 days' time. So you know where to catch all these action. We are going to be here. We're going to be covering India and New Zealand. A lot of sporting action. So give us some time. We will try to bring you all the best content. We are not opportunists. We're not opportunists. We will like to come out there and talk good content. We want to cover it throughout the course of the year. What happens is, at times we are unable to cover all the content because of the kind of thick and fast schedule it is put up. Right? We have to come in
Yeah.
and talk about it extensively. We don't want to talk about it in brief and just go.
Also,
We
I
want to talk.
mean, when we try and speak about everything, we might not be able to focus on some other things, and at least it might become our quality of, the life, overall life might just reduce. But if we focus on that one thing, it's much more easier for us to look at all aspects of
Yeah.
it rather than covering everything without
Yeah.
really
Absolutely.
providing any subsistence.
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally think, for me and for all of us, for me, Jaren, and for Sandipani, we will try to cover as many cricket content as possible as well. Uh, and when you talk about PSL, we will cover about PSL as well, and IPL
Yeah.
also. We want to cover domestic league, because that's where the breeding ground of talent is. That's where we can identify the next future stars for the next T20 World Cup. Maybe we do not know. How do we know? I mean, this World Cup, you found someone like Naseem Shah. This World Cup, we found someone like a Mohammad Wasim Jr. These lads have been
Yeah.
outstanding, and credits to PSL for bringing them up. But yeah, talking about that, I personally feel, and let's before we end this live, I think this is the end of the T20 World Cup as well. How do you rate this T20 World Cup overall, Sandeep? Do you reckon this has to go down to be one of the greatest, or just because India did not win, will you still rate it to be okay, not the
That's
best?
very smart wordplay there. I mean, I understand. So you're telling him that if Sandipani feels the World Cup is not good, it's because India didn't qualify. I mean, that's just very smart wordplay right there.
No, but honestly, I feel honestly this has been one of the more unpredictable World Cups. We couldn't actually predict all the. Once we reached the Super 12s, all the games were super close. There were no
Yeah.
such drastic favorites heading into a game, and there were no major upsets apart from the game against probably South Africa versus Netherlands. That may be considered a drastic upset, and probably even England versus Ireland was a drastic upset because on paper these two teams had very contrasting styles of game. And I think apart from those two games, I think this World Cup has provided some of the more very close contests overall. It's been very exciting. It's been
Yeah,
a great World Cup. The comeback story for Pakistan was great up until the finals. They had a
yeah.
brilliant run. India had a brilliant run up until the semifinals as expected. And then we had the favorites on paper at the start of the World Cup go on and win the World Cup and be now they are the world champions as well
As
as
much as
T20 world champions.
unpredictability it had, ultimately the one which everybody predicted went on to win the World Cup. That is the funniest
Yeah,
part among
that's something,
it all.
and I think
And
all
that's
the credit
also
should
probably
go to England
the
for that.
yeah. I think by the end of it, we were probably it was difficult to predict who would win, and that's where I think it just ended in a proper, how do I say, an M Night Shyamalan movie. It's the one we thought in the first place actually
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to.
absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank
Pratiksha.
you, Pratiksha, for that. The love which you people have been showing has been just
Yeah.
heartwarming for us. 12K views, maybe start of many Ks for us. I hope we
And
hit.
honestly, that was one of the more sad lives that we started with. We were
Yeah,
very sad
and
because
yeah,
India were
Sandeepani's
out of the World Cup.
explanations is top notch, and especially that night, Sandeepani was absolutely killing it, on and off the live. So that's one of the reasons why he was there. Sandeepani energy is lovely, right? Pratiksha, I think he's such an energetic guy. He is like our, what do I say? He's our aggressor, and I'm an anchor to this jet ship. Maybe and quite
So you
literally
will
the anchor as
soon
well.
be dropped, Abel. Your position is in danger. We'll probably choose.
Yeah, of course. I think my position is seriously in danger. Just in all the ways, I think there are people who are doing better. Hey, girls, control your emotions. What- I think it's funny because,
Yeah,
um, Aisha, yourself, you're a girl. I hope you also just calm down tonight because England
I
are the
think
world
tonight she
champions.
is feeling what we felt 3 days back, and I think I won't blame her for it. I mean, semi-final loss was hard. Finals loss, it will be a tough pill to swallow. We have been on that end in 2014, and it was not a good night's sleep. So I
Mhm.
have my sympathies for Aisha, and I think yeah, it's a great tournament. We had one of the best T20I World Cups. India did not go on to win it, but still it was one of the best T20I World Cups that we have ever seen, especially because of the close contest that we have had. We haven't had any sort of clear favorites heading into a game. Even if we had one on paper, it did not turn out to be so. Afghanistan, Bangladesh, they all went on, and some of the subcontinent nations, all the subcontinent nations came in and put up a fight. I am very glad to see Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Sri Lanka probably did not have the best of things, and a lot of it has to do with the injuries they had. And Afghanistan tried their best, play against the best teams in the world. They are one of the best teams in the world right now. So it was a very well fought contest. Namibia, great job to start off with, beating Sri Lanka and setting the tone for this T20 World Cup. And also Scotland beating West Indies and setting a tone for this T20 World Cup. It was one of the best World Cups that we had, and always a pleasure to sort of come in with Jedin and Abel and getting you the previews and reviews, and after all, the views that you give us, the love that you show to us, that's all that matters at the end of the day. And we are very grateful for your support throughout the tournament, and we would love to
Yeah.
come every day, or probably after this World Cup, we'll take a small break, and then we'll come in every day and do this, come in live, show like statistically try and explain things to you, get you post match analysis, pre match analysis like we do, so that you guys have a great time. And thank you for being there. Thank you for supporting us throughout this World Cup. It's been a great experience.
Oh, it is. It certainly has been. I think this World Cup has really helped us to, also understand the game a lot more in depth and to bring you that game, in a better fashion. Whatever we want to do, we don't want to bring in, substandard content. We always want to bring in some deep content so that you people can understand it and we are able to explain to you in a better way. I think the data side of things was something which we are, heavily focusing on. I know it can be a little tricky for a lot of people because it involves a lot of data. It involves a lot of graphical representations, and it involves a deep understanding of every concept, especially of phases of every game. But we've been able to do it so that you people can understand the game a lot better, at least something which we can impart from our end. Or else we can simply sit and talk about the game like everybody else. But Jaren, talking about this World Cup to you, how has this World Cup been? Because for me personally, I think this has been one of the best World Cup, and it was only deserving that England went on to win it. And as I've been keeping, I've maintained that it was England's World Cup to lose ultimately, and they just proved it why they are the best team. I just keep saying this all the time, and I think for them to win it, and also at the same time, all the drama it created around it, the pitches it provided through the course of this World Cup was just phenomenal. May barring the rains here and there, I just totally felt like this was the World Cup all about fitting occasions. This was a World Cup all about smaller teams rising up to the occasions. Netherlands defeating South Africa was the biggest result, I believe. If you look behind in hindsight and say, okay, it really turned the tables around for the entirety of the World Cup. How Pakistan qualified in the last moment, then they run into the final. India getting a reality check, which I think is a blessing in disguise. Many might not agree to me, but I think it's a blessing in disguise. India got a reality check, and and also at the same time, Australia, the defending champions, crashing out because of again poor selection calls and also because of some blunders. So it really showed if you're making mistakes, you will get paid heavily back for that. And if you're making right decisions, this World Cup was all about that.
I mean, it was a World Cup of fine margins, really, because you never knew what was coming, what teams would face. Pitches were very unpredictable. But I think overall, it just personified the unpredictable nature of T20 cricket, where nothing is really certain. And to be very honest, I think ICC is probably the one that's benefited the most. Uh, because ICC overall, if you look at it, is trying to look at T20 cricket as an advertisement for cricket all across the world, and that's something that's gonna really it's an experiment, I would say, that's happening in US. I've spoken it again and again. Next T20 World Cup happening in West Indies and US is going to be a big deal for ICC, because if that World Cup goes well and we get some eyeballs in US, it could really help the sport overall. And T20 World Cup is spreading like wildfire. We also have the European Super League, I think that's what it's called, if I'm not wrong. But there is a competitive league in Europe where some very unusual, stars have been coming up. I think there's a bowler who balls moon balls. It's very interesting. You guys should check it up on YouTube. And he's a fast bowler who flights the ball up. Will throw it high above the eye line of the batter. So some really interesting skills and players are coming through. There's a lot of different backgrounds in cricket, and T20 cricket is really growing. So I think, and this T20 World Cup has not been nothing short of an advertisement for how great a sport cricket can be when everything is done well. And I think kudos to ICC, really. I know probably the timing of the World Cup was questioned initially, but you have to also think about the fact that, I mean, at the end of the day, that kind of unpredictable weather really added to that to the spice of the World Cup. Because I mean, it could have been England who could have easily gone through if that England Australia match had not been rained down, or if the Ireland match hadn't been affected by rain. But at the end of the day, rain really did not play a spoil sport, but rather it just added a new element to the tournament. And that's why I think this was one of the best World Cups ever in a long time. I think after 2007, I've never been this excited for a T20 World Cup.
Yeah, truly. And I also felt like because of the conditions, it made it very competitive after 2007. It's the first time you're playing in Southern Hemisphere where ballers were able to get involved in the game a lot more. Because in 2009, the ballers weren't really getting involved. 2010, no. Sri Lanka World Cup, it was a very dry World Cup. Bangladesh also, it was okay. But finally, you saw World Cup where ballers and
I
batters
mean,
were
when
going
you
at
talk
each
about
other.
bowlers getting involved, I think you are meaning when pacers actually got involved, because 2012, 2014, we had some of the pitches where spinners were actually dominating the World Cup. Yeah.
That's typical me. I consider fast ballers, finger
Don't
balls.
say that. Don't say that.
It's been almost a half a year watching Abel and Sandeepani's live. Love it and nice. Thank you so much, Pratiksha. I mean, great to have you back time and time again. I've also seen you in our Twitter spaces as well. So lovely to see you there. Lovely to take your inputs. Lovely to have you as one of our family members. We consider everybody as family members. Uh, Saloni says, "What on earth, Abel? I mean, what did I do? Are you modeling or what? Keeps playing with your hair, shows off his accessories." I'm just sorry, guys. If it's distracting you, I'm sorry. I'm stop. My hair is annoying me at this point. I just keep doing it subconsciously, but yeah.
Nasim Shah light.
यार मैं भी गर्ल हूँ मेरे को ऐसा क्यों नहीं होता I don't want to say it, but yeah. Uh,
I think at this
let's
point in
just.
time, we're drifting further and further from cricket. I think it's just
Yeah.
possibly a very good time to end the live now.
But do you guys think we need a sponsor for the live? I think next time 12K views is enough. Do you think Gatorade is time? It's time for them to sponsor us.
I think Abel, you did not drink Ocean in the 12K live wala video. That's why you missed an opportunity.
Maybe. But Sandeep, you
Maybe
tell
if you
me.
drink,
Yeah, you tell me. Yeah, go ahead, Jared.
yeah, I was saying maybe if you start drinking Ocean regularly, we might get some live. At least it'll benefit us in that fashion. Because I really don't know why you like Ocean. We need to have a conversation on this.
I love ocean. I love the blue. I love the seas. I am just like a beach person. I feel I love it. Maybe you're from Goa. Maybe you should be loving the. What's with flowers, Abel? This is just for the World War Memorial, lest we forget, as I say it. And for England, I call them the red flowers.
I
And
don't think
see,
that's what
they
they're
all are wearing
called.
red. What?
I don't think that's what they call. I think there's a particular name for that flower. Abel.
I don't care, man. I'm
You
just showing
should.
off.
I'm
Lest we
wearing
not
blue
forget.
and red in support of England. Previous color, present color.
I mean, they have blue and red in their uniform over there.
They wear blue bottoms.
They were entirely blue when they won the 2019 World Cup. For that, this, and this is for the 2022 T20
I'm
World
ready
Cup.
for Pakistan and England. I think this just goes like perfect.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
on
like a
this,
neutral. I'm like the
I think
I
on
mean,
this
analyst
England are
over
the
here.
podcast
I'm
last
just
flowers and
watching
today,
it.
Pakistan are the roots. So they actually help the flowers to bloom.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I
that's what
think
happened tonight. Pakistan batters actually allowed the England batters to look really good, like whatever Indian bowlers did to the England batters as well in the semifinals. So
I think it was
we have
more.
come a full circle
I
in
think
this T20
Pakistan
World Cup as
more
well.
than Pakistan bowling. I think Pakistan batting really made Pakistan. I mean, English bowlers look good because Pakistan bowling was exceptional today, and the match should have been over in the 15th over, but it's not for Pakistan bowling.
I mean, they won my heart for sure, but they now win the
Yeah,
trophy. On that note, we end the life because they reminded me of RCB. We keep winning hearts, man. They just can't win the trophy.